some institutions will become smaller. We're looking at the World Bank and the IMF as organizations that need to become increasingly global. We need to bring in other countries. We need to expand their voting rights. Over time, the right question might be which countries need to leave. Because there is a choice in architecture, right, and institutions. You can go very broad and very shallow, or you can go narrower and deep. I'm suggesting that broad and shallow is clearly not as good for the United States, but actually it might be completely ineffective. I mean, I love to refer to the G20 as an organization where you are herding cats together with animals that don't like cats, right? I see global architecture in this world where we have seen the rise of the different as a whole bunch of places where the tent is so big that you can't get any coordination. It's not just too many people. Too many people is already harder, but it's too many people that don't share interests. Imagine a group of 20 and you're trying to figure out where to go for dinner. But you've got, sort of vegetarians and vegans and steak lovers and everything else. You are not getting to a restaurant. You need smaller numbers of people, and you need, let's say, a whole bunch of folks that want to do locavore, right? Well, let's get there. Let's get there. And that means for some of these institutions, you throw people out. I mean, look, Putin, we just had a summit. We had a G8 summit. Remember the G7 plus one? And our plus one didn't show. When you're invited to a wedding and they say, are you plus one, but you don't have a girlfriend, and you don't just search for someone, and that's a miserable time. Leave the plus one at home, okay? I'm in favor of taking our plus one on the G7 and keeping them there. I really am. The fact of the matter is almost everything we discussed at that G8 summit was something where the Russians were not going to be constructive in the process. They were not going to be constructive in terms of austerity versus growth in the Eurozone. They were not going to be constructive on Syria. In fact, they've been actively destructive on that issue and obstructive, and they were not going to be particularly helpful on Iran. Why then do we have them there? Why? Why did we put together a NATO-Russia joint council? I mean, there's nostalgia. The Soviet Union was very important. It fell apart. Suddenly Russia, okay, well, Russia must be really important. Actually, everything the Russians have done in the last 20 years have showed us that they should not be part of these groups. And I want a good relationship with Russia. So, for example, if I were advising Obama, I would not have told him to send McFaul as ambassador. And I love McFaul. He's really smart. But he's also a massive pro-human rights Democrat guy, right? And so sending him to Moscow is just going to alienate and offend the Russians. Why do you do that? You wouldn't do that in China, right? You wouldn't do it in China because China's too important. So you wouldn't offend their sensibilities. In Russia, we don't care. So let's slap them around a little. On stuff that doesn't matter, throw the Russians a bone, right? On stuff that matters, get the Russians out.